GT America, powered by AWS, returns to action this weekend at Barber Motorsports Park with championships up for grabs and just 4 races to go in the season. It's a 3-way title fight in SRO 3, while Isaac Sherman has a chance to cinch things up this weekend in the GT4 class if Kurt Swearingen can't keep pace. Hello everyone and welcome to Alabama. This is Barber Motorsports Park. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and it's Amanda Busick down in the pit lane. So much still to unfold, but just 4 races left in the season, starting right here at Barber. Calvin, great racetrack. Great to be back, first of all. First time for this paddock since 2016.
So cool to be back here. Wonderful facility. It's first class. Every box that you look at, in terms of when you drive in, you can see how well it's manicured. You get to the racetrack itself. It's challenging. It's going to be a big afternoon of trying to control the tire degradation here because you're constantly turning. Really works on those Pirelli P0s, but we've got a championship we're talking about right now, and it's heating up with just 4 rounds to go. It
is. Temperate conditions, all things considered. Temperatures in the mid-70s Fahrenheit at the moment. The sun's, though, starting to peek through the clouds, and with that, the track temperature beginning to rise. That will make that tire conservation aspect of the race that much more important. But let's talk championship, Calvin. In SRO 3, 3 cars now well and truly in the title hunt because this man, Justin Rothberg, is on quite a roll.
I think it's appropriate. I was looking at the acronym on his windshield there, ROT, like Rottweiler, because he can see the meat of Johnny O'Connell with that championship lead. And he's been chewing into it over the last few rounds. Hasn't finished off the podium, Justin Rothberg, in the last 5 races, including 2 big victories. And he's now only 19 points back. Johnny has put together a great championship season, only 1 time off the podium. But he knows the kid has got some talent. And for Jason Daskelos, who sits between those 2 in the championship standings, did not have a great qualifying run here this morning, so he's got a lot of work to do.
Yes, he does, starting back in 5th for the race today, but he can do it. We know he has the aggression required. He has strong pace, and they did do some testing here with the CRP racing team earlier this summer. However, it was truncated somewhat by a mechanical issue. Nevertheless, they do feel like they have at least a sense of what's going to be needed for a good result today. How about in GT4, though? Isaac Sherman has been the revelation of the season in SRO America. Started winning at Sonoma in the season opener and has hardly stopped since then. Kurt Swearingen's had a good, strong middle part of the season to keep him honest, but the math is not in Kurt's favor.
No, he's 53 points back. They've split the victories over the last 6 rounds, 3 apiece. So Kurt has certainly kept the heat on. He's doing very well in Pirelli GT4 as well, so he's got a lot of confidence going. But he knows it's one of those days he's got to beat this 098 machine if he's got any chance of trying to cut into that championship lead and keeping it open going to Indianapolis.
A couple of Caymans on the front row in the GT4 class. The engines start to fire to life down on the grid. That is the front row in SRO 3 and overall. Justin Rothberg on the Rover pole position. Johnny O'Connell, who keeps telling us the kids are coming for me, Calvin. He knows he's got a real challenge ahead of him. He and Rothberg have had some great battles over the course of the season, and Daskelos has been there too, of course.
He has. Kyle Washington, though, he's got super impressive over the course of this season. Really starting to feel that driver and team has a lot of momentum. Qualified 3rd in the field here, and look out for that Porsche. He's not afraid to get his elbows out and drive forcefully, but he's really managing his racecraft a lot better, and that's why he's starting to get the results.
No question about that. Gray Newell with the Heart of Racing team here this weekend once again. It's been a nice couple weeks here for Heart of Racing because they just got a race win in the World Endurance Championship the last weekend out at Circuit of the Americas. Plenty of stories throughout this grid of cars. Amanda Busick, what do you have your eye on down in the pits?
Hey guys, yeah, it is the start of round 7 here in GT America. We had that additional race in Long Beach earlier in the season. I was just talking to Jason Daskelos ahead of this race. You guys were remarking on his qualifying. You have to go back to the 3rd row to find that Mercedes here today, and he simply said, we just can't find it here. We made some adjustments after qualifying, so he's suited in, buckled in. His teammate Sheldon put him into that Mercedes as he gets ready for action here at Barber Motorsports Park. But you talk about, in terms of the points chase in that championship, Justin Rothberg coming on so strong in the last 2 rounds. I think he has a bucket of about 13 points on your points leader, Johnny O'Connell. So keep an eye on that BMW of Justin Rothberg. Said that it's been a development season for him, but it's been a dream season for him as well.
It has 5 straight podiums, including a couple of race wins, and now he's on the pole position for the first of 2 races here this weekend at GT America, powered by AWS. For Rothberg, it is his 3rd pole of this campaign. He'll have the veteran Johnny O'Connell starting alongside. He's got a narrow 8-point lead in the championship, does O'Connell, over Jason Daskalos. Row number 2, Kyle Washington coming on strong as of late himself. Ross Schwest bouncing back from a miserable weekend at Road America with a strong qualifying effort. Then you find Daskalos in a row full of Jasons. Jason Bell will start in 6th in his Aston Martin, and Tim Savage in another Aston starts in 7th. Then the pole sitter in GT4 for the 9th time this season. Isaac Sherman will lead his class to the initial green flag. Kurt Swearingen, his closest pursuer in the championship, starts 2nd. Gray Newell will line up in the inside of the 2nd row, 3rd spot overall, or make that 3rd spot in class. Todd Perriott in 4th. Then it's Nick Shaney in the 12th overall starting position, car number 21 for Karis Kallis Racing. And starting out back, Alan Grossberg, who is back with TPC Racing this weekend. 2nd weekend racing in the McLaren Artura GT4, and Alan will be doing double duty, doing Pirelli GT4 America for the first time this season. Later on today, there he is in car number 102. Beautiful McLaren Artura GT4 for the TPC team. Couple of pace laps here. We're on the 2nd one around this 2 1/3 mile, 17 turn layout. So much challenge. Great flow to this place too, Calvin, but the elevation change takes your breath away, as does some of the scenery, including Georgina. If you watched the IndyCar race here back in April, you might remember she made an unexpected appearance on the racetrack, but she's back. She's got all of her limbs again in position. It's just part of the charm of coming to Barber.
Yeah, so unique, just a wonderful facility, and it stands the test of time. I mean, over 20 years since it's been open, but you'd think it was just a brand new facility. They had the wherewithal to really think about what you needed from a race fan's perspective, from a racer's perspective, and there you see Georgina just hanging out, I guess.
It's a good view. Not sure I'd take it. It's a perilous position, but definitely a good view as the cars make their way down one of the number of straightaways that weave back and forth around this venue. It's a great place as a spectator to come and watch, because the sight lines you get give you the views of these cars 2 or 3, maybe even 4 different times on a given lap.
Yeah, kind of crisscrosses right in front of you, but here we get ready here as Justin Rothberg, he really wants to try and jump to the front here into turn 1. He's got that inside lane. He doesn't want Johnny O to get out front and use his experience in racecraft to try and thwart Rothberg's attempt to cut into that championship leader any further.
They're already leaning on each other, Calvin, coming out of turn 17 onto the pit straightaway. The Rover pole sitter is Justin Rothberg. To the right-hand side of the screen in the BMW, it's Johnny O'Connell in the Audi. Green flag waves, and we are racing at Barber Motorsports Park. Into turn number 1, Rothberg throws it in, but O'Connell goes in even deeper around the outside, and the track now comes back to him. It's a right-hander and a long one. O'Connell in the preferred line.
Yeah, I think Johnny had that one sussed out. Now we see the GT4 start with Sherman on the inside line. 2 Porsches side by side. Swearingen in the green and white Porsche slots in a B2.
Swearingen doesn't fight to hang on around the outside like O'Connell did. It's still a battle down into turn 5. Then Charlotte's Webb. Kyle Washington now fighting for 2nd.
Had to tuck it in there, but couldn't quite unwind the wheel to get the power down like Rothberg did. But Johnny O, as we suspected, he's got to the front. Now he's going to try and manage the speed of Rothberg right behind him for 40 minutes.
Daskalos grabbed a spot at the start as well. Good move there. Looks like Jason Bell fighting with Ross Schwest a little bit further back in the pack. But look at this. Rothberg's already on his giddy-up. He's chasing down the leading Audi.
Yeah, he's been really quick here this weekend. The Turner Motorsport Group did test here a couple of weeks ago, so they got the jump in terms of setups around this track, but Johnny O looks comfortable. The Audi is well balanced around this race circuit. He's been here before. He's got to try and get this win here and escape Rothberg, who's been eating into that championship lead.
Oh, Daskalos was trying the wide way around Kyle Washington. Both of those cars had big twitches there through that very technical complex. in the final sector of the lap. Daskalos needs to get moving forward. He comes in trailing by 8 points in the championship, but he's set to give up quite a few if things finish as they do. But of course, just getting started, 1 lap complete here at Barber.
Great to see Jason Bell and Roche West continuing their battles we saw for many years in GT4. They've both stepped up, getting to grips with this higher horsepower machinery or bigger downforce. Rothberg to the outside, down into Charlotte's Web. Johnny O's going to give him those track positions. He's going to try and keep it nice and tight and tidy coming off of turn 5. But Rothberg's got the pace. He gets to the inside. It's going to be argy-bargy potentially as they turn into turn 8.
Tough place to go side by side, and that battle is over before they reach turn number 8. A power move by Rothberg, and the pole sitter is back to the points.
Wow, that was really impressive there, how he got the power down and just out-accelerated the Audi of Johnny O'Connell by the time they got to the brake pedal.
Well, that's good news for Daskalos, because that means the points leader has shuffled back a spot. Daskalos now needs to get some work done. Fighting here for third with Kyle Washington, but Kyle's not going to be an easy guy to get around. He's getting stronger and stronger as the year has progressed.
He is. He's getting so much seat time running in multiple championships here in North America, and he is feeling it right now, doing a really nice, tidy job here in the opening few laps.
Carrera Cup, Sprint Challenge, GT America, and Fanatec GT, all for Kyle Washington this season, and has picked up a win in Fanatec GT going back to VIR. We talk about those championship points, and right now it's Johnny O'Connell by 12 over Rothberg. That might not reflect, that would be right, I guess, wouldn't it? And Rothberg would thereby jump Jason Daskalos and run in the second spot in points with this race plus 3 more still in the season.
Rothberg's taking off here. It looks like Johnny O's car is backing up here a little bit because Kyle Washington now has a run on him. So Johnny O, he got the jump. Looked like he was going to be able to control this race from the front, but doesn't seem like he's got the pace right now of some of the others right around him. See how this changes over a 40-minute race here in terms of what the balance will be like as we dig deeper into this stint.
Rothberg's got some incredible pace. He just uncorked a 1:25.4. O'Connell ran a 27 flat. Washington, though, too, was running in the 25s on that last lap. That's let him run down Johnny O here over the last lap or so. In fact, Washington was only a few tenths off of Rothberg out in front. That's impressive.
Yeah, really impressive. So Johnny O looks pretty good there through sector 3 here. But in that middle sector, he's kind of being eaten up a little bit.
Should also note that Isaac Sherman does lead in GT4 over Swearingen. Grain Newell runs third, so they run as they qualified in the GT4 class. But meanwhile, here in SRO 3, a lot to keep your eye on with major championship battles breaking out all throughout the field. Here's a glimpse at the front runners in GT4, Sherman, Swearingen, and Newell.
Let me correct that. It's that sector 1 where Johnny O's losing the most time looking at the splits there. But Sherman here, just as he's done all season long. What a season he's put together. 9 victories, 2 podiums from the 12 races. Only been off the podium 1 time. That was in the first round at Road America, but he bounced back the next day with a big win.
Saw him earlier in the weekend. Huge smile on his face, just living the dream. Did do some racing about a decade or so ago, primarily in Legends cars, a little bit of stock car racing, but road racing and sports car racing, that was always his goal. Found the chance to do that and exercise that dream this year. He has made Rob Holland a very happy car owner. Rotec Racing has had so much to celebrate this year with Isaac and the season he's put together.
He'll settle back in again a little bit. He's gapped Washington and Daskalos here on this lap. Now Washington looks to be under threat there for that final podium position at the moment, but up front Rothberg continues to drive away from the field a little bit. They cross the line here, new fastest lap by Rothberg, 8 tenths clear of Johnny O, so it looks like he's got this race under control in terms of the pace, but it's still early days.
Rothberg found another few tenths compared to the lap you see there on Race Vision powered by AWS. Just that last time by at a 24.1, like you said, 8 tenths of a second faster than O'Connell. Washington under pressure from Jason Daskalos, who has every motivation to get aggressive here.
Yeah, Bell and Schwest aren't exactly being dropped either. They're right there in the same picture right now, so they're having a nice race here today. And for so many of these drivers, just more laps, more miles. Didn't have a test day here this weekend. Many of these drivers haven't competed here before. Then some of yesterday's day of practice was kind of washed out a little bit, so you didn't really get good dry running time.
Rothberg and O'Connell untroubled. Then we've got a couple of battles here with Washington and Daskalos. And then this fight with Bell and Schwest. And you alluded to it earlier, Calvin. These two know each other well from this series, but in the lower class, they've contended and won GT4 championships. I believe the last 3 GT4 championships are represented by these two drivers.
Look at the different approach there through 15 and 16. There you see coming on the front straightaway. Daskalos really likes to set up and create that big wide radius, and he gets a run on Washington by doing that, and that sets him up. Should be able to keep him out there. Washington can't turn in, has to give it up. Really nicely set up there by Jason Daskalos through the preceding corner.
He's getting coaching this year from Ryan Dial, who has his own experience with this team, CRP Racing, the team behind Jason Daskalos. Nick Short campaigned Ryan Dial in a couple different types of cars over the years. And Ryan has been a big asset to Jason as he continues to improve and fight for a title. He's been in the title hunt every single year that GT America has existed, but has not won that championship yet.
Yeah, we'd love to break through and grab that big trophy. Up front, Rothberg looks comfortable. Just driving away from this field. Another half second on Johnny O on the preceding lap. So Johnny O settled in there and some nice space, no real threat from behind. He has a 2.5 second gap over what would be now Daskalos, with Washington having given up that position after they crossed the stripe for the last time. See that really tight approach that Ross West likes to take into 15 and 16. Just means you're going to have a lot more turning as you come off there and plunge down the hill into that final corner. Looks like a bit of a shortcut, but I'm not sure it set you up nicely to get through the really important turn 17 onto the front straightaway.
These are valuable laps, though, for both Jason Bell and Ross Schwest as they continue their adaptation to GT3 cars. For Schwest, we'll see him again later on in the day in Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. Here's a fight we've seen a couple of times this season, with Todd Perriott in the Aston and Nick Shanny giving chase in the BMW.
Yeah, they seem very evenly matched. Yes, we have seen them in close quarters many, many times. They're two drivers that are also, I think this is Todd's last event for the year. I think I read a report that he might not be at Indianapolis due to prior commitments, but nonetheless, he put together a really nice season, runs with Tom Dyer in Pirelli GT4 competition. But he and Nick Shanny seem to be very evenly matched this season, despite being in very different race cars.
And that first podium in race 1 at Road America, the last weekend of the championship, finished 3rd in that race, 4th in race 2. His 2 best finishes of the season, so getting stronger and stronger as the year has gone along. But I will say this, Shanny has had the pace. You look at the lap times here, compare them over the last 3, no question that Shanny in the BMW has had the edge.
He has. They're very evenly matched in the championships, only 15 points apart with Shanny in P4. 15 markers ahead of Perriott, who sits P5.
While we're watching this in GT4, Jason Daskalos just turned in the fastest lap of the race at a 23.9. He was 0.3 quicker than the leader, and he was a half a second faster than O'Connell. He's got 1.6 seconds to make up. There goes Rothberg, then the lapped car of Grossberg GT4 car. Then you see O'Connell and Daskalos, 2nd and 3rd, and Daskalos is closing in.
See that, a really aggressive bite on the brakes. Look like Jason's really hammering the brakes there into turn 8, which is extending the straightaway a little bit, but you also want a float speed down the hill there. So I think more of a mild brake through there typically works well. You don't unsettle the car quite as much, but he's on the attack. He's certainly got good lap time right now.
Been unlucky with the traffic there.
Yeah.
Caught Grossberg difficult spot at the track. He had to back out of it. It cost him a little bit of time here. Nearly 12 minutes gone by in race one of the weekend. Watching Jason Daskalos. Let's get more on him now with Amanda.
Yeah, I'm over by the team at the moment. I wanted to follow up on some of those changes that they made ahead of this race, and talking to Nicholas Shorty, just wanted to make sure that Jason Daskalos had more agility around this place. He told me that Jason's been rather quiet on the radio and said that's a nice reprieve because he had a lot to say to the team after qualifying this morning.
Thanks, Amanda. Yes, while she was giving that report, we saw Ross West finally put that move on Jason Bell. That had been brewing for a few laps.
Yeah, I think they came across Grossberg there going through turn 17. I think that stymied Jason Bell a little bit to get through the corner, and Ross timed that perfectly to get inside and make the move into turn 1.
All part of mixed class racing, one of the many things that makes GT America so much fun. And a throwback to the heritage of Pirelli World Challenge and all of its predecessors. Love seeing the mix of cars, but also the mix of experience levels. For many, this is an entry point into GT racing, or in some cases, a step up from GT4 to GT3. And for others, like a Johnny O'Connell, he's done and won just about everything there is to do and win in sports car racing. But this is a great place to continue and extend that career.
It really has been wonderful to see the passion that Johnny O still has for his driving, and to find somewhere to do it with a great team, with the support of the Hussey family as well. So it's been really cool. But up front, I just wonder if Justin Rothberg is just controlling this race, managing his tires. Got the jump, built a healthy lead, and then just sits there about 3.5 seconds to the good of Johnny O'Connell. You will certainly have the information that Jason Daskalos has a faster race lap. Remember, that's going to give you qualifying positions for tomorrow. And right now, Rothberg would not be on the front row even. So I think that may be in his ear a little bit in terms of when you feel it. Maybe when the fuel load goes away a little bit, as long as the tires are still there, let's hammer out a fast lap, see if we can grab that fast lap and grab pole for tomorrow.
Daskalos has it right now over O'Connell, but it's close. It's only 52 thousandths of a second when you compare their best laps. And to Calvin's point, grid for race 2 is set by fast lap here in race 1.
Yeah, this has not been a great run through traffic for Rothberg, and I think Johnny O at the end of this lap will probably eaten at that 3.5 second lead a little bit, but now he's dealing with the traffic as he comes up on them. And it's not easy to just disappear here. It's a very flowing racetrack. You're flowing backwards and forwards, left to right all of the time. You just can't hit the disappear button and get out of the way of the faster cars around you.
Was one of the questions coming in here. How would mixed class racing work at a place like Barber? Do you think this is maybe as tough as they come on the schedule this year for the two classes to interact?
Yeah, I think so. I think we just saw a great example of that in just that last half lap. We saw Rothberg, our leader, struggle. Now we're seeing Daskalos right there. Have to give it up. I mean, you're coming over that blind crest in turn 4. Harriet just can't run on a different line. You're going to disappear off into the boonies. So you got to maintain your line, be consistent, and let the faster car deal with it. But typically it's costing them time, it seems.
Now that they've cleared that traffic, Rothberg leads 2.6 seconds over O'Connell. Then it's 1.2 to Daskalos, who definitely has closed in on second place O'Connell. Top 3 are the top 3 in the championship, but not in that order. Rothberg is third coming in. O'Connell the leader. Daskalos was second coming into the weekend. But all of that could change with the way things are going here.
Yeah, it's really tight right now. I mean, it's anyone's game in terms of the championship. Certainly the momentum seems to be with Rothberg, and Johnny O's hanging on, continuing to knock out those consistent podium finishes, and Jason Daskalos is not letting it go either.
I don't know that we have any superlatives that we haven't used to describe the season that Isaac Sherman has been able to put together. Super impressive, unflappable, never seems to be too bit out of shape if he has a bad practice session or something doesn't quite go their way. It's been really remarkable to see someone who's been out of racing for over a decade jump back in and compete at such a high level right away.
Yeah, just great skill set. Love his personality. Like the way he goes about his racing, very clean. And Kurt Swearingen has really upped his game this year. I think having Kai van Berlo as his teammate in Pirelli GT4, I think he's leaned on him, he's coached him, he's tutored him into how to wring more speed out of this Porsche. So for Isaac Sherman to be putting together a season with how competitive Swearingen now is, puts it all into perspective, and he just seems to have that little edge. He's really, you know, they've shared victories, as we said. The last 6 races, they've split them 3 apiece, but on his day, Sherman still seems to have that little bit.
And Swearingen has not heaps of experience, but he's been active in single-make Porsche racing for a while. You look at a guy like Ray Newell, who's running in 3rd, and he's now been doing this at the GT4 level for a few years, and on his day has been able to put in whole-level laps, and certainly is a podium factor each and every weekend. So for Sherman to come in and be able to have such an edge seemingly every weekend, with a few little slip-ups here and there, and Swearingen's middle part of the season has been great, but Sherman's year has been nothing short of remarkable. And so has this charge from Daskalos.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, he took 7/10 out of that gap to Johnny O there, and really impressive lap time. So the Pirellis are hanging in there. Rothberg was within 1/10 of a second of his best lap on the last lap fly he put together, and I'm sure he's going to try and wring a little bit more speed out of that BMW, but he's now got to find 3/10 from that last lap that he did to wrestle that fast lap away from Daskalos, who's absolutely on the charge. So he may have been venting to the team after qualifying this morning, per Amanda's report, and there's Nick Short looking on with his group. But whatever they've done, they've found some speed here in race conditions this afternoon.
Oh, this is so difficult with the traffic. Daskalos did have to check up there. That's going to cost him some time. Should also note that Ross West has run down Kyle Washington, so before too much longer, 4th and 5th could be up for grabs too. Let's check the times at the line. O'Connell at 24.1, Daskalos at 24.6, so it did cost him when he caught that GT4 traffic.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this lap will be like. There's a little bit of traffic in front of Johnny O. I'm not sure if Rothberg had to go through that as he starts this lap, but Rothberg is going to be digging deep. You know he wants to get that fast lap and grab pole for tomorrow.
O'Connell around the GT4 leader, Sherman. Gap between the 2 classes here at this track. It's not huge. Sherman's running 31-32 second lap, 1 minute 31, 1 minute 32 compared to the 23s and 24s of the GT3 cars. Just don't have a ton of long straightaways for the GT3s in the SRO3 class to stretch their legs.
No, so the traffic can take away, but can also give. So for Daskalos, a little bit of a rough run there through traffic, but maybe that will open up the door. You know, Johnny O is going to use every trick in the book. He knows how tight this championship is. He wants it in the worst possible way, but he knows it's going to be a big fight. It's going to take a lot of discipline here through these final 4 rounds, including today, of the championship.
If you're Nick Short in CRP Racing, are you telling Jason that right now he would have pole for the race tomorrow? Does that affect the way that you approach this race here today?
I think they got to eat in Johnny O. You're running out of rounds, right? You never know what's around the corner in terms of your setup, your speed, either for tomorrow or certainly when we head to a new racetrack. So if you've got the pace, you better make use of it right now. Rounds are running out. You don't want to have that in championship lead increased. You want to decrease it as we move forward. But talking about Rothberg digging deep, he just laid down at 123.965, but it still doesn't put him on the front row. It's a couple of hundredths off of Johnny O's best. It's still about 1/10 or so back of Daskalos' fast lap.
But that's what we're talking about. In terms of those top 3 and their best lap times, it is less than 1/10 between the 3 of them. That's why we've had such a fun battle all throughout the season. These 3 have been evenly matched, especially as Rothberg gets stronger and stronger. Average speed around this place, Race Vision powered by AWS, just shy of 100 miles an hour.
I'm not sure whether it's just a tire pressure situation. I mean, Johnny O got the jump at the start. He led for a couple of laps there, and then it looked to me like he's really vulnerable. And then this car has come alive. Daskalos seems to have the super speed right now, but I don't know if Johnny O just had to work with the tires, or the tire pressures, work with the tools in the car, or the tire pressures coming in their sweet spot, but he does have pace.
Rothberg's got pace too. He just reset fastest lap of the race, and that would provisionally put him on pole for the race tomorrow. We've been talking championship. This is how close it is. How about it? 9 points from first to second and 1 point between second and third.
Yeah, Johnny O had an 8-point lead coming in, so it's a positive day, but it's still compressing all three of these drivers, and it brings Rothberg further and further into that mix, who came into this round 19 points back.
And of course, if Daskalos can make the pass, then it swings again. It's 18 points for second, 15 for third, so effectively a 6-point swing between these two if Daskalos can pull it off.
Daskalos cleared a little bit of traffic there once again. And this is where Daskalos needs to be close enough to pounce. If there is traffic that stymies Johnny O a little bit, he's got to be close enough so he can take advantage of it.
And there is some. They catch up with Grossberg for the second time.
Daskalos on the charge here. He is hunting, he is looking. How does he deal with this situation? He's going to set up. Still think he might have got a slightly better run on Johnny O on the front straightaway. He's going to make a move immediately.
O'Connell guards the inside, but Daskalos goes even lower. They touch fenders into turn number one. O'Connell trying to swing it wide around the outside, and he's not able to hang on to that track position, but Daskalos slips wide. O'Connell comes back through. Daskalos fighting back on the outside now, and it's still side by side the run down to Charlotte's Web as Daskalos goes 2 wheels off on the left-hand side.
That is as good as it gets, and it's not over yet. Daskalos goes in deep. Johnny O carves back to the inside. He's got the position back again.
But again, it's not over yet because the Mercedes still has some grunts out of the corner. They're still side by side, and this is not a place you can exist in a side by side formation. And so O'Connell is forced to back out of it. Daskalos is through to second, and with that, the championship complexion changes yet again.
That is a highlight of the season right there. It took 8 corners for that to come together, but finally, Jason Daskalos gets the position on our championship leader, Johnny O, and he cuts into the championship lead at the same time, of course.
Now Daskalos has to dig deep. The gap is 4.5 seconds to the race leader, Rothberg. Perhaps more importantly, Rothberg has stolen away pole for tomorrow's race with the fastest lap of this race. So Daskalos will at least be having his eyes set on trying to get pole position back for tomorrow if he can't run down Rothberg and get the race win.
Tell you what, on reflection, that was some classy driving by both of these guys. Just superb. When they came through turn 2 and 3, that was as tight as it gets, but they gave each other respect and gave each other a little bit of racing room.
Also as tight as it gets, look at this. The top 3 would be separated by 9 points if they finish in this order.
Rothberg's last lap, another 123.7, a few hundredths off his personal best, which is still the best lap of this race, and gives him, importantly, that pole position and maybe control tomorrow's race as well.
Daskalos lost quite a bit of time in that battle, of course, with O'Connell. He was about a second slower, but now he's off and clear. That's the brain trust for O'Connell's Ski Autosports team. They'll have to go to work overnight to find a little bit more pace in this Audi R8.
It's for Stella Manfrenato, the engineer there with Ski Autosport. She will not be looking at this with a lot of affection. She knows that they have to control this championship. They can't afford a day like today because it's going to just eat and erode that championship lead that they've been given all season long. Majority of the season, certainly Daskalos had it at one point, but Johnny O's got that championship lead, has been trying to control it.
Rothberg continues to up the ante. He just reset the fastest lap of the race at a 23.6. How about the tire longevity that Pirelli has brought here to Barber? That is remarkable. We are 25 minutes into this race, and Rothberg is setting fastest lap of the race after fastest lap of the race. We were talking about the battle earlier between Shanny and Perriott. This was just a few moments ago. Perriott and Shanny, they come together, but then a little contact to help right the ship as well.
That's pretty cool. And these guys know each other well. I'm not sure if they're friends off the racetrack, but they certainly been in close proximity for a number of rounds of this championship. And nice that Nick just straightened him back out. Otherwise, he may have got a penalty on that one.
It wasn't just courteous, it was prudent. Helps to avoid any sanction from race control.
Certainly saw a few bits of carbon fiber flying after that, so hopefully it's not laying on the racing line for other drivers down in turn 5 there, but just a great little battle. They'll be enjoying this.
That was 4th and 5th changing hands in the GT4 class. All of it happening behind Isaac Sherman, who has built his advantage now to 6.6 seconds over Kurt Swearingen. Daskelos has his head down. He just did his best lap of the race. It's within 13 thousandths of Rothberg's time that would be good enough for pole as they run. So Daskelos definitely has the pace and was quicker on that lap by over half a second.
And I think more importantly, it gives you hope that for this group that they have the pace tomorrow, you know, by starting further up on the grid, on the front row at the moment. If they could score maximum points here today, that would really put them in great shape heading to Indianapolis. So a big turnaround for that group following qualifying here this morning.
Heard Amanda's report off the top, talking about how the team threw some setup changes at the car post-qualifying, trying to unlock some pace. Hey, Nick, whatever you did with that car, it worked. Great work by Nick Short and that whole team.
Yeah. It's funny when you work with different engineers. Some people are very reluctant to make change, and then you got other engineers who are always wanting to try something. And you've got to control that. As a driver, you've got to work hand in hand with that engineer and be respectful. But, you know, if the car's good, okay, let's not get it out of the window again for the race in different conditions. They run first thing in the morning. The race time is 8:40. It'll be relatively cool. That'll dictate a different setup as needed.
New fastest lap of the race to Jason Daskelos. By the way, he stole it back by 7 thousandths over Rothberg and has cut about 7/10 of a second off of the lead. In the meantime, here's Gray Newell, 3rd in GT4, looking for yet another podium in what has been a solid, if not utterly spectacular season for Gray. His development continues, and I think there's some talk that we might see him racing somewhere around the world in a GT3 car next year.
Yeah, just such a team with so much going on. They're running the Valkyrie prototype right now in testing and development for a busy season next year. They got multiple GT3 programs. You mentioned coming off a huge win at Circuit of the Americas in wet competition just a week ago. Team principal Ian James was part of that driver lineup, and a huge feather in his cap that at his age he's still able to compete and do as well as he does, despite just the ultimate multitasker. They have so much going on, but continue to deliver at the highest level in every single race and class that they show up for.
In large part because of that busy schedule. Ian had some comments in the offseason talking about this maybe being his final season of racing this much. But when you're putting it on pole and you're winning at the World Endurance Championship level like he did last weekend, I have to rethink that a little bit. It seemed like he was having a lot of fun at COTA and had a big smile on his face when I saw him here this morning as well.
Yeah, I was chatting to him and his wife yesterday, and his wife said, no, he needs to keep going. He's doing great, so he's got the support from the family, but he's obviously trying to manage everything else.
Well, the leaders have encountered some traffic, and it's had its part to play, as we suspected it might. You look at Daskelos at what he has done, closing in lap after lap. A lead that was nearly 6 seconds just a few laps ago is down to 3.6. But the sand is running through the hourglass.
Oh no, puncher,
quickly.
I believe. Right rear looked like it's low.
This is big. This is the championship leader in a position where he would lose some positions, and with them, valuable points.
Don't think they touched when he and Daskelos were close together. Got really tight on the front straightaway, but I don't believe there was any contact. There's Phil Creighton and the whole group trying to analyze here. They'll have a tire ready, but as it's a lengthy run, he's got to go to get back to pit lane. This is just over on the backstretch. I believe that's going through turn 9-10.
This is painful for Johnny, but using all of his experience to know just how hard he can push this car with the tire down without doing any additional damage.
Only once off the podium this year. This looks like it's going to be number 2 in that column.
I just saw Jason Bell go by. That drops him down to 6th. Tim Savage, the final car in SRO 3, not too far back, I wouldn't think. And certainly once you factor in the pit stop here, that's going to put Johnny all the way back in 7th. Wow. Well, on such little things do championships turn. Heartbreak for Ski Autosports, and Johnny O'Connell and Amanda is standing by.
Yeah, I just watched the team step off their pit box. Phil Creighton over the wall now, Rosella as well. It was head shaking here. Johnny O'Connell reporting back to the team that it was contact with a GT4 car that caused that puncture.
That's rare because Johnny O's so good in those situations of reading it and not getting himself in trouble. I was curious as to whether, you know, they'd run over some debris. We saw the contact between the GT4 cars down in turn 5, whether he'd run over that, but surprised they don't have a wheel ready and to go. This is taking quite some time here.
Very experienced group. But boy, is this ever painful. Tim Savage has gone through, so O'Connell would, at least as they run right now, score at best 7th place points. That turns this championship on its head.
It does. It truly does. It's going to give the lead as they run right now to Daskalos. But, you know, this racetrack we talk about at the multi-class racing and trying to coexist, it is not easy. GT4 cars just can't hit that disappear button, and you're just trying to go through these sweeping turns and not have contact.
Inside the final 10 minutes of this race, this might be the moment, or at least the after effects of the moment, that could go a long way towards dictating this championship.
Oh yeah, I think it might have been on Shani.
Now Johnny is back on the track, but he has dropped down the order, timing and scoring, which still shows him, well, shows him as the leader actually, but that is incorrect. This car now, unfortunately, much delayed. That has put Rothberg in a position now where he certainly is in the championship mix. No question mark about it.
Yeah, Rothberg came into this race 11 points back of Jason Daskalos. He will gain 7 of that. So in my mind, it should be Daskalos leading as they run, followed by Rothberg and Johnny O dropping down the order.
Wow. What a second half of the season for Rothberg. This would be his 6th straight podium. 3 of those would be wins. Still has some work to do, of course.
He's got to be careful here. Like this traffic, I mean, that was a big loss. That was probably the best part, 3/4 of a second there. And Daskalos is getting close. There's only just over 5 minutes to go, but he can't afford too many more moments like that. Otherwise, Daskalos is going to be right there.
Read my mind. That was well done by Daskalos. Good timing as well. And heads up from Alan Grossberg to see one of the front runners coming through, giving him plenty of room. Didn't cost him too much time.
So the gap was 2.9 last time across the stripe. A little bit of traffic there with Swearingen. Daskalos is going to be right there. I bet he's lost at least a second here in this one lap alone, Rothberg.
Under 5 minutes to go. The gap at the line, it was 2.9 seconds. It's now just 1.1 as Daskalos cuts to the inside of Swearingen and sets off in pursuit of the race leader. This could be a huge day for Jason Daskalos.
Traffic has played a big factor here today. Just amazing what with Johnny O's contact, and now Rothberg getting a really poor run through traffic. He's got to regroup here. We've seen him do it many times before in terms of being poised and having the discipline to withstand pressure, but he's going to be having Jason Daskalos, who's continuing to cut really fast laps.
How close do you like it, Cal? Points as they run. Top 3 covered by 4 points. But that could yet change with under 4 minutes to go, because Daskalos He's drawing a bead on the race leader, Justin Rothberg.
This is fantastic. This championship has been immense all season long, both in SRO 3 and in GT4, and it's not disappointing here today.
But you called it. Rothberg, every time this season he's been asked to step up and answer a challenge, he has always been able to deliver.
More traffic here. I think that's Isaac Sherman, the GT4 leader. He's going to be on the hard pace of GT4, but again, these SRO 3 things have a ton of downforce. They just can't cut through the corners like these cars coming up on Sherman.
Traffic looms ahead. Let's cover off the Johnny O'Connell story with Amanda.
And boy, as you guys were talking about with this championship heating up, it's certainly not what Johnny O'Connell wanted here today, but take a look at this wheel, the right rear from that race car from Johnny O'Connell. That is how heavy that damage was that caused that puncture. Calvin, you mentioned that it seemed like a longer stop or a slow stop. The team wanted to assess the race car to make sure they even wanted to send it back out. This car does have to race tomorrow, so they're protecting that as well.
Thanks, Amanda. Battle heating up at the lead, and again, traffic has played its role. Rothberg slowed somewhat, and any advantage he once held is gone with 2.5 minutes to go. Jason Daskalos from 5th on the grid has run down Justin Rothberg.
And he's just been hammering out the lap times, running consistent high 23s, low 24s, and that's what's brought him in touch with the leader right here. Plus, Rothberg's poor run through traffic. Some of it you just can't manage any differently. It's just the luck of the draw in terms of where you catch them.
Daskalos has taken this wide approach to this section all race long. It's given him a nice jump off of this corner in the past, and he's made some moves into turn 1, but he's not close enough this time. In fact, he pushed wide out of turn 17 and put his right sides just over the edge of the curb into the grass, kicking up some dust.
Yeah, didn't quite time that one as perfectly as has in previous laps, but nonetheless, he's still right there. Rothberg's going to be managed here. Robbie Foley will be on the horn to him, his co-driver in Fanatec GT. Jay O'Connell, the engineer, will be talking to him as well, but now it's really just let him do his thing. There's not much you can tell him, just other than hit your marks, don't open up the door. Really key on your strengths. Typically, the BMW has a little bit more straightaway speed than the Mercedes. So just cover him off on the entry and just let that BMW power do its thing when you release off the corner.
White flag next time by. Lap and a half to go. So much at stake, not just a race win, but the entire championship complexion could change depending on the outcome of this battle here. Rothberg and Daskalos. Daskalos, by the way, will have the pole as it stands right now for race 2 tomorrow by virtue of holding the fastest lap of the race here today.
Daskalos using every inch of the road, the curb, and just cutting the grass for George Barber there at the same time.
Through turn 17, Justin Rothberg holds the lead, but narrowly. As the white silk flies above Barber Motorsports Park, Justin Rothberg with just 1 lap to go, trying to fend off the hard charge late in the race from Jason Daskalos.
Can he hang on here? Can he continue to do what we've been so impressed by all season long? That's where that Mercedes seems really good, but Rothberg, a little twitch there as he comes off. Daskalos used more of the road. He's looking for a big run here. Does he send it down into the brake zone for 5? Rothberg protects. It's going to give Daskalos the wider run through turn 5. Can he cut it back and get on the power early?
Daskalos with the late apex tries to put that power down for that Mercedes V8 power plant, but it's not enough to match the BMW M-Power coming out of Charlotte's Web. One final time here through the museum section. Rothberg in the BMW, Daskalos giving chase in the Mercedes.
That was nice. That was nice by Rothberg. Really nice and clean through there. Tough to pass through here. The only thing that Daskalos could try and do, look how much of the road he uses there on the exit, that switchback. 10 and 11. Little twitch by Rothberg. Daskalos is going to be there. Does he send it up to the inside? You typically set up high and wide. Does Daskalos cut it to the inside? Rothberg protects. Nice job.
Rothberg covers off the inside, and it's contact between the leaders. Daskalos is through for the moment, but it's not done yet. They're rubbing fenders off of turn 17, and at least on the road, Daskalos comes through from 5th on the grid to take the race win in race 1 at Barber.
Wow. Wow. mean, Rothberg took that tighter line through 14, 15, and then as you just kind of drift up to set up to carve back down, they were just too close for comfort.
Isaac Sherman untroubled, and he takes the race win, yet another one here at Barber Motorsports Park. He has a chance to clinch the championship tomorrow. Incident under review.
Yeah, Rothberg is not happy. You can tell right now he's not driving into Jason Dasclos, but he almost feels like he wants to.
He's got the door popped open. Damage, as you can see on the back of the car. Amanda brought the point up in relation to Johnny O'Connell wanting to make sure to preserve the car and to be able to fight again tomorrow. That's a lot of work for the Turner crew. Let's look at it again, Calvin.
Rothberg was vulnerable. He does a really nice job here. Then as he floats up, this is normal, but Dasclos is just trying to go around the high side and he's just too close. There's no room. It's going to be a tough one for the stewards. I mean, it wasn't deliberate. He was just trying to figure out a way through the final couple of corners to carve his way to the lead, and there just wasn't enough room.
So much hangs in the balance with how this is adjudicated. If there is a penalty, if there is, how harsh of a penalty.
Let's take a look here in slow-mo and just see how close they are and where they touch. They're just heading into pit lane. This is obviously right there. I mean, I don't think either one of them really did anything. You know, Rothberg took the tighter entry there, which means you got to set up to cut back down. And Dasclos had committed up to the high. I think it's a racing incident. I mean, for the look there, it's under review, of course, but I think it's going to be hard to turn that one around. I don't think Dasclos did enough to really warrant having the win taken away. But again, that's not our decision. That's just our look at it.
Well, high drama, as ever, in GT America, powered by AWS. Very much provisional race results. Jason Dasclos, whatever the outcome, a remarkable drive from 5th on the starting grid to at least on the road, the race win by just about 0.2 of a second over Rothberg. Then it's Washington in the 3rd spot. Good podium run for him. Ross Schwest was chasing him down, though, by the end of that race, so Ross could be one to watch in race 2 tomorrow. As far as GT4 goes, Isaac Sherman holds off Kurt Swearingen to pick up yet another win. Doesn't clinch the title today, but tomorrow could be the day that Isaac Sherman becomes GT America Class Champion. Gray Newell adds another podium finish to his tally. Todd Perriott, Nick Shaney down in 10th and 11th, and Alan Grossberg in 12th. Johnny O'Connell did retire the car and will be credited with 7th place points in SRO 3. Well, a lot to sort out. We'll leave it to the stewards, and Amanda Busick will at least get the impressions of some of the protagonists down in Victory Circle.
Goodness, I have seen some sighs of relief coming from Jason Dasclos ever since he's made his way into the celebrations here in front of the podium. And Jason, we've seen some drives out of you over the seasons that you've been in GT America, but where would you rank that one?
That was top. That almost beats Long Beach. I mean, we struggled all weekend with the car. We made so many changes. And whatever Nick did, put a special touch on the car. With Ryan, Dial, who's awesome, and Sheldon Miller, my crew chief, who I love so much. This victory isn't without them.
We do got to review the last lap with you. Walk us through it from your side.
Oh, I was to the outside. He hit the inside curb and launched himself into my car. I was completely to the outside of him. He hit the inside curb and launched his car into me and made contact, and then he kept making contact with me. He kept actually hitting me. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a racing incident and we're the winners.
We know the stewards are going to review that. I imagine they're going to take a look at some of those in-cars. But guys, it just tells you how much this championship means to both of those drivers, especially with Justin Rothberg wanting to make himself present in that battle on the way down to Indianapolis. But one person that has already made his presence known in this championship is Isaac Sherman. And to come in here and get a win at Barber Motorsports Park, why did it just fit you today?
Oh man, this track is, it's actually very tough, technical. there's really no room for any brakes or anything. The corners, you just don't see them anywhere else. I just got into a rhythm, a good flow, and just kind of pull the gap, so I'm very happy.
Congratulations, Isaac.
Thank you so much.
That's a total contrast in demeanor because it was a total contrast in race wins between the two. No drama at all for Isaac Sherman. Well, let's go back about 40 minutes or so. It was Justin Rothberg from pole position, but actually Johnny O'Connell who controlled the race from early on. Big move around the outside on the opening lap to take the lead, but it would not last long as Justin Rothberg was able to come back and take the lead once again. Just a few laps later, Jason Dascalos was the man on the move. You heard from him in the interview. Did not have a great car in qualifying. Started fifth. The adjustments worked. Traffic played to his advantage. He was able to charge forward and get around Johnny O'Connell and make the pass to get up into the second spot. But it wasn't as simple as that. This was a great battle. It took about 8 corners for these two to sort themselves out. And when they did, it gave Dascalos just enough time to set off in pursuit of the race leader, Justin Rothberg. But what a duel between a couple of the seasoned veterans, guys who came into this weekend separated by just 8 points in the championship. Then was this moment on the final lap of the race. Race control has seen it and they have ruled no further action. Jason Dascalos is your winner, and it is a championship battle that will come down to the wire. We'll resume it tomorrow in race 2. Meanwhile, tomorrow could be the day that Isaac Sherman clinches his first ever title. He wins yet again here at GT America, powered by AWS.